I still remember the morning I walked out of my farmhouse and saw sparks flying from a welder's torch, steel beams slamming into the dirt like prison bars. My only road, the one that connected my farm to the outside world, was being welded shut right before my eyes. And the woman in charge, the HOA president of Cedar Ridge, stood there with her sunglasses on, arms crossed, smiling like she'd just conquered a kingdom. She looked at me and said, "You won't be using this road ever again." I didn't know it yet, but that was the day I started digging, not just a tunnel under her blockade, but a path back to my own freedom. My name's Miles Carter. I used to be a military engineer, spent years building roads, bridges, and tunnels in places most people wouldn't dare to step foot in. When I retired, I wanted something simple, a quiet patch of land in Tennessee where I could breathe, raise a few cattle, and live by my own rules. I found it, 60 acres of pasture and oak trees, with a single gravel road cutting through a subdivision called Cedar Ridge. That road had been used for decades by locals, farmers, delivery trucks, never a problem. Until the day Linda Harrow took over as HOA president. She came knocking one morning, clipboard in hand, and 2 board members trailing behind her like ducks. "Mr. Carter," she said, "you're technically using HOA property to access your land. We'll need you to join the association and start paying dues." I told her politely that my property wasn't part of her HOA, that my deed was separate, and that the road had been public access for years. She gave me a smile so fake it should have come with a price tag. "Well," she said, "either you join or you lose access." Then she turned around and strutted off like she'd just handed down a royal decree. At first, I thought she was bluffing. I'd dealt with bureaucracy before. I figured she'd make a fuss, maybe send a few letters, and move on. But the next morning, I heard machinery. When I got to the end of my drive, I saw the construction crew welding that massive gate into place. Linda stood there in a white blouse and heels, sipping iced tea while a steel barricade went up across the only road to my land. When I demanded to know what the hell she thought she was doing, she said, "Just enforcing the rules. Mr. Carter, Cedar Ridge infrastructure is for members only." I called the sheriff. The deputy came out, looked at the gate, scratched his head, and told me the road technically belonged to the HOA. "It's a gray area," he said. "You might be able to fight it in court, but that'll take months." Months. Meanwhile, I was trapped. I couldn't bring in supplies, couldn't get my feed truck in or out, couldn't even have a delivery without that damn gate standing in the way. That night, I sat on my porch staring at the moonlit gravel road, the gate gleaming like a challenge. I'd fought in real battles before, but somehow, this one felt worse, smaller, pettier, but personal. I wanted to believe the system would fix it. I wanted to believe that decency still counted for something. But deep down, I knew better. Linda wasn't after dues or order. She wanted control. And she'd picked the wrong man to try to cage. The next few days were hell. I borrowed a dirt bike and started cutting a trail through the woods just to reach town. Rough, steep, dangerous. The HOA kept sending letters anyway, even though I wasn't a member. Noise complaints, property disturbance warnings, all signed by Linda herself. She wanted to wear me down with paper cuts until I gave up. And, for a while, it worked. I remember one night sitting in my shop, covered in dust and grease, wondering if I should just move, sell the place, let her win. I actually caught myself thinking maybe she was right. Maybe I should have just joined to avoid the trouble. That thought made me sick to my stomach. I hadn't spent my life taking orders from generals just to let a woman with a clipboard tell me how to live. Then it hit me. I didn't need to go through her. I could go under her. It sounds crazy now, but it made perfect sense in that moment. I'd built tunnels under active fire zones overseas. I knew soil density, structural integrity, how to brace a passage so it wouldn't collapse. And unlike Linda, I didn't need a vote or a meeting to get something done. I called two old friends from my army days, Joe and Parker. When I told them what was going on, Joe laughed so hard he nearly dropped the phone. "So, you're telling me some HOA queen locked you out of your own land?" he said. "Hell yeah, I'm in." We got started that same week, at night, while Linda slept soundly thinking she'd won. The three of us were under her nose with shovels, drills, and headlamps. We hauled out dirt by the bucket, reinforced the walls with scrap steel, laid plywood and gravel to keep the floor dry. Every scoop of soil was a little piece of revenge. And I'll be honest, it felt good. Linda spent her days parading around that gate like a sentry guarding a fortress, completely unaware that a tunnel was growing right beneath her perfect little subdivision. By the second week, the tunnel stretched over 100 feet, low, sturdy, built to carry the weight of my truck. We installed lights, ventilation, even a backup generator. I tested it first with my dirt bike, heart hammering as I rolled through the darkness and came out the other side on the county road. When I hit the gas and burst into daylight, I yelled out loud, laughing like a man who'd just robbed the devil himself. Linda had built a wall, and I'd outsmarted her with a shovel. But while I was celebrating, Linda was losing her mind. She started doubling down, ordered a backhoe to dig a trench in front of the gate so no vehicle could get close. 4 feet deep, 8 feet wide. She called it a safety measure. I called it what it was, sabotage. The worst part came one stormy night when an ambulance got stuck at that trench. A neighbor of mine, an older man with heart issues, was dying. The paramedics couldn't reach him because of Linda's blockade. I ran out, yelling, waving them toward the woods. We loaded their gear into my trailer and cut through the back trail. By the time we reached him, minutes had been lost. He lived, barely. And that's when something in me snapped. This wasn't about property anymore. This was about a woman so drunk on authority, she didn't care who got hurt. After that, people started talking. Farmers, neighbors, folks who'd kept quiet out of fear. They started sharing stories. Linda had fined them for hay bales, for paint colors, for leaving Christmas lights up too long. She'd turned a community into a dictatorship. And now, after seeing what she'd done to me, they were done being silent. Volunteers showed up at my farm offering to help with the project. We worked in shifts, shovels moving under the cover of darkness, laughing quietly as we dug the final stretch. When the tunnel was complete, I installed cameras, set up lights, and parked my truck right at the entrance. I was ready to make my move. At sunrise, I fired up the engine. The tunnel swallowed my truck, the headlights bouncing off the steel braces we'd built. I could feel the pressure, the weight of earth above me, but also the thrill of rebellion. Then daylight broke through, and I rolled right out onto the county road. No gate, no trench, no Linda, just me, free again. I parked right across from her barricade and waited. When Linda arrived for her morning inspection, she froze. I leaned against my truck, arms folded, smiling. "Morning, Linda," I said. Her jaw dropped. She ran to the gate, shouting, demanding to know how I got through. Then she saw the small mound of disturbed dirt just beyond the trench. The look on her face, disbelief, rage, humiliation, it was priceless. I'd set up cameras the night before, so every second was caught on film. That video, the mighty HOA president losing her mind because someone tunneled under her rule, went viral. Within hours, the whole county was talking about the tunnel guy. The HOA board started fracturing. One of her own members sent me internal emails showing Linda bragging about using road access as leverage. It was all the proof I needed. So when she sued me, accusing me of illegal tunneling beneath HOA property, I was ready. My lawyer, Rebecca, countered with a lawsuit of our own, harassment, obstruction, and endangerment. We brought the ambulance report, the video footage, and those emails. The courthouse was packed the day of the hearing. Linda sat there with her pearls and her smirk, like she still thought she'd win through intimidation. But when Rebecca played the video of Linda screaming at a UPS driver, calling him a trespasser, and he shot back, "Lady, I am federal," even the judge laughed. Then came the hammer. Those emails. The judge read them aloud, word for word, where Linda wrote, "We'll cut him off until he complies." You could feel the air go out of her. The judge leaned forward and said, "Ms. Harrow, what you've done isn't community management, it's harassment." His ruling came down like thunder. He granted me permanent access through Cedar Ridge, ordered the HOA to remove the gate and trench at their own expense, and fined Linda personally for abuse of authority. She was stripped of her title as HOA president on the spot. A week later, county crews came out with bulldozers. The sound of steel snapping under the torch was the sweetest thing I've ever heard. Neighbors gathered to watch as the gate fell. One guy joked, "Looks like the Queen lost her castle." I didn't laugh. I just stood there, arms crossed, watching the dust rise from the rubble. Linda didn't show up that day. Word was, she'd locked herself in her house. A month later, a for sale sign went up in her yard. I kept the tunnel, welded a small sign above the entrance. The Harrow Passage, a monument to petty tyranny. People started visiting, taking photos, leaving little notes that said things like, "This gives me hope." It became less of a story about me and more about standing up to bullies with power. Sometimes I still sit on my porch and look down that open road, the one that used to be blocked. The gravel crunches under truck tires again. Delivery drivers honk and wave. The world feels lighter. Linda thought she could wall me in, but all she did was teach me how deep freedom runs when you're stubborn enough to dig for it. Lesson learned. When someone tries to block your way, don't argue with their gate. Build your own road.